I'm here with another review of a random Netflix movie. This review is for Time Traveler from 2010. It is a Japanese film and it's entirely in subtitle, so be aware of that going in. This is a sequel to the 1983 film The Little Girl Who Leapt Through Time, or The Little Girl Who Conquered Time, which was based on a book. And there was already a sequel to that movie, an anime made in 2006 called The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. This is a little connection to the other sequel. It was the same voice actor for the main character. She acts in this movie as the main character. And in the anime, she was the niece of the original woman. In this, she's the daughter of the original woman. But everything else is different. I went into this movie without knowing the story and without knowing about the other movies. And I found it very enjoyable that way, so I'm going to review it that way. I don't want to ruin the major plot points, because it's interesting to try to figure out what's going on. So the movie starts off with a mother and daughter. And the daughter passed a class in high school, so they're going to go celebrate. But the mother receives a letter. And in the letter is a picture of her and as a high schooler in a classroom with a man and a piece of lavender. So she's trying to figure out what it is, and she smells the lavender and all the memories come back to her. Unfortunately, this happens while she's standing in the middle of the street and she's hit by a car. I also want to quickly mention that this part of the movie has the worst doctor ever. He just comes up to her and says, "Well, your mother received only scrapes and bruises and will recover completely from her injuries. But she's in a coma and might not wake up." Like, how do you lead with, "She's perfectly fine," and then add, "but she's in a coma"? So mom does wake up, and when she does, she tells her daughter to take the picture and go to her classroom where she has a magical liquid that can send her back in time, and to go back to April 1972 and find the guy in the picture and give him a message. So she goes and does that, and the liquid doesn't work. So she thinks mom's a little crazy, and is like, "Oh, when was it again? February 1974? And of course, this time it works. So she goes back to 2 years after when she was supposed to go. And they have a cool little cutscene where she animated stuff in the background and traveled through the vortex of time. I thought it was pretty cool. And when she gets to 1974, she falls from the sky onto this dude who's standing around in the classroom. I believe his name is Yota, but I'm sure I'm butchering the name. But it sounded like she was saying Yota the whole time, so I'm going to go with that. Well, she is able to easily convince this guy that she's from the future by showing her modern cell phone and her modern ID and the fact that she literally just fell from the ceiling. So, and all of her money is from 1972. Mom has been collecting a jar of coins for years. So they go out to find the man in the picture. So, armed with only his name and the picture, they go around trying to track him down. They go to the school, and nobody at the school recognizes the name or the guy, but they do recognize her mom and tell them where she goes to school now. So they track her down, and she doesn't know anything about any of it. Doesn't know who the guy is, never heard of him, doesn't remember taking the picture, and is completely confused about why they have a picture of her. And then she gets a headache and runs off. Well, after everything else fails, they end up using her money to put a personal ad in the paper and try to track him down that way. I can't talk about too much more of the movie without ruining the whole thing, but she figures out who her dad is, starts slowly to fall in love with Yota, and understands her mom a little bit more, learns a little bit about her mom's relationship with her dad and why her dad isn't around. I enjoyed this movie. The first half is mostly about comedy. She gets a makeover and meets the friends and hangs out. And that part's good for a while, but the last 20 minutes of that whole thing is pretty boring. It starts to wear a little bit. But the second part of the movie, all the romantic love story, meeting dad, all that stuff is really good. And the secrets and learning about mom's past, and that whole part is done really well. From what I've heard, the anime did the comedy better, so I don't know if it just translates better into that sort of genre, and the comedy trying to explain why 70s Japanese culture is wacky didn't play well, but I still loved it. It's a great movie. I do recommend it if you're okay with subtitles. My only real problem was the very end. She has a chance to reconnect with Dad and doesn't take it. I don't know whether she didn't get the magnitude of it or not yet, and maybe later on she will take the opportunity. But I think it was something that was missed and could have been ended on a little bit happier note. But other than that, I liked it. So thank you for watching, and I'll try to do better next time.